record to the cloud up there somewhere, and it'll come back down later on. This is week 15 bonus. You got extra for your money. Tuition rates go up, but hey, take Dr. Bob's class, you get 2 for 1. You know, whenever you want more, I'm a former accountant. More is more. Always was more for accountants, anyways. For educators, they all say less is more. I'm in between. Some days less is more, some days more is more. During grading finals week, more is not more. More I don't want to see. I got 5 stacks of grading sitting there, getting through one of them. Amelia just sent me her paper. Thank you, Amelia. I was going to make a statement that, and it's great that Lena's here because Lena, Sung-hee, and Alicia, Yang-Wan, and Sumin, and Jill are all visiting scholars at IU. So wow. What is it like when you have 5 people who are visiting scholars, right? 5 of them. And you've got 5 of them showing up to the bonus section. And you invite your 18 students to show up to the bonus section as well. And only one of them shows up from Japan, who I was with in Japan in December, Amelia. She's originally from Wisconsin, like I am. And I think her daughter was in Kansas City or something, maybe for a bit. Was that? Okay. And now is your daughter back in Japan? Amelia?
Muted. Oh yeah, she's back in Japan. Yeah, good morning. Good morning, David Cutler. Thanks for being our guest speaker today.
Oh, my pleasure.
Yeah, I've known David for quite a few years.
Yeah.
We've chatted back and forth, and he's worked some pieces, I guess, in Edutopia again, and we'll maybe want to have him explain what Edutopia is.
Sure.
But before we do that, again, this is week 15 of R678, spring of 2024, the last session, maybe the last session I'm going to record. So I made sure that I wore my Purple Man outfit. Thanks, Bose, my assistant, letting people in the room. We've got a number of people joining us tonight for the last session before the summer break or grading or whatever else you're going to do. David Cutler's with us. And David's been around the block a few times with various places that he's worked at and consulted with, but now he teaches American history, which I love. I love any history. I could sit in it, I could repeat it over. In fact, that's the way K-12 was when I went to school. It's just repeated every year with a little more spice added on every time. But I loved humanities classes, in particular in ancient history. Government he teaches, and journalism he teaches at Bremer and May, which is out east, an independent school in Chestnut Hill, Massachusetts. He writes about education. He reads about education. He writes about politics. He reads about politics. He writes about teaching young people and thinks about teaching old people like me, and I won't mention anyone else. So, he's increasingly interested in this complex world that we're all in that's been in maybe augmented, maybe accelerated by AI, in particular generative AI technologies. We have not had a K-12 person as a guest, I think, this whole semester. And so what better way to bring someone in than the final week in the final session? David also directs a student-staffed writing center. David is proud to have served as teacher of the future for the American Association of Independent Schools. So we've got a teacher from the future, no, teacher by the future, teacher of the future, for the future, all those, as well as PBS direct digital innovator. So public broadcasting service here in the US. I've been on PBS, not in US, but in Korea, where Sumin is from and where Sung-hee is from. In fact, one of my first experiences would jump right in to go on to TV, EBS, they call it, Educational Broadcast System. They got a lot of money in Korea on EBS, a lot of education happening, a lot of self-directed education happening on mobile devices from what EBS provides. The last time I was in Korea, I was filmed for a television documentary of some sorts with folks at EBS in Korea about Finland, the US, and Singapore, and Korea. So David, his email's in here. I don't know, spincutler@gmail.com. David's written something recently that I thought we should talk about. He wrote Artificial Shortcuts, Real Consequences, the cost of AI humanizers to learning. April 19th. He's got 3 other pieces that I've sent you. Trend Lines, Managing Tech Advances in the Age of ChatGPT. That was from this past summer. He wrote Grappling with AI Writing Technologies in the Classroom. ChatGPT and other AI tools complicate how teachers think about student writing and how they teach academic integrity. Alicia is an English professor in China. Alina is an English professor in China. Xixuan Liu is my former advisee. She's off there in Pennsylvania at University of Pennsylvania at Indiana, I think, or something like that, and teaches in their Chinese program and has done several edited books. I think Xixuan and Xiaojing Ko were classmates, maybe here in their doctoral program. So Xiaojing maybe remembers Xixuan.
Of course, we're also roommates.
Oh, you're roommates, okay.
Yeah.
When you've known each other for 20 years, so and Xiaojing runs our teaching with languages with technology center. It's not exactly that. The title of your center,
Center for Language Technology.
There we go.
There.
In the tallest classroom building on campus called Valentine Hall.
Oh, wow.
And then he also wrote The Atlantic's Doom and Gloom Coverage of AI in Education. We don't want to get totally doom and gloom tonight, but I do want to talk about what kind of doom and gloom he's going to address, or he has addressed in that.
Yeah.
But before we go to any of those articles that David wrote, I thought it'd be good to talk about something he didn't write. And that is an article that was in the Chronicle of Higher Education this past week. And just all of us can ask this questions. It's, are we asking the wrong questions about ChatGPT? Stop agonizing about your syllabus policy and start helping students use AI to extend, not replace their thinking. So David, I'm going to read a sentence from this article, the first sentence, in fact, and I'll let you respond to it.
Sure.
Since the emergence of ChatGPT, one of the most frequent questions we hear from faculty members who request instructional support is, what should I say about AI in my syllabus? Most of the time, what they're really asking is, how do I police the use of AI in my classes? We talked about this when AI got hot early on in December of 2023, I think it was, and January. Mm-hmm. And then you had some special events that you hosted for people just to chat about things. So you covered this topic, David. What were the things that came out when you covered it? And now has your thinking changed since the last 16 months?
Yeah, I remember you and I talking just a few days after ChatGPT launched through OpenAI. And I was afraid to even show it to my students then. Of course I did, but I was suggesting to students and to my peers that we hold off on using this pedagogically until we do some more exploring with it and how it can be used. Right off the bat, though, I know you mentioned the Atlantic piece. The Atlantic is a publication I used to work for, but they've become so apocalyptic recently. I haven't written for them in a while.
A highly prestigious place.
Yeah. Yes. Everything with them, though, is the end of the world. Everything's
we bow up in your presence.
No. But since then, I've tried my best to make clear to students what is and isn't acceptable. That gray area I'm still challenged by, but what's clear is the black and white. You can't put something into an AI generator and hand it in as your own. That's something that I've run into more times than I care to admit, especially this semester, and in light of also the new AI humanizers coming out. It's really been quite awful, and not a great way to end the year. But I do model for students how I might use AI. I might use it for feedback. I might use it to ask a direct question, which it will respond to, rather than putting a question in Google. I say that if you want to use it on a micro level, how can I improve this sentence and give me some suggestions? I think that's useful. It's unfortunate that it's just such low-lying fruit that it's really easy to abuse. Unfortunately, even here at this really awesome private school, it's happened more than I would like.
So early on, I was the one saying,
Yeah.
use it, use it, use it, use it.
Yeah.
I'm not, and we are using it
Yeah.
in this class. In fact, students
Yeah.
in our discussion forums, we have an alternative discussion forum that is AI prompted to
Yeah.
start the discussion, a list of things and so forth. We have two different discussion forums, human to human and human or AI augmented. So let's go to another sentence in the same
Yeah.
article. So they said that rather than worry about drafting the perfect syllabus policy, faculty members would be better served by asking different questions, such as how can we prepare students to thrive in so-called artificially intelligent worlds?
Yeah. Yeah.
The college classroom is a good place for it. And then continue, they said, I asked my students in my writing class and capstone courses to develop essential questions that they explore throughout the semester. Formulating good questions require familiarity with the topic, which many students do not have yet. So ChatGPT summarizes for them prior
Sure.
on the topic, suggests possible lines of inquiry, and shapes their research questions.
Yeah, I think AI does a great job of summarizing. I think it does such a great job of summarizing that I fear students rely on that rather than reading the text itself. Look, I want to make clear that I am all for AI. I mean, in the sense that we're going to have to teach students to use it and use it ethically and effectively. I just still think we're in a gray zone of what that actually means. I know that you just said that you had students participate on a discussion board. I do discussion boards too. Unfortunately, the last discussion board, students used AI. At least 6 of my students used AI to create their own responses, plugged it in. How would you respond to this? And pass it off as their own. So that's not so much AI augmented as it is AI created. I've done my best to try to instill the need for integrity in students, but I gotta say, I am just so angry and upset and just really just pissed off at certain tech companies that are targeting students to sign up for their services to commit academic dishonesty.
Do you remember the evil house of cheat?
I don't.
Or not Harvard? I mean, there's all
Yeah.
these corrupt Pink
Yeah.
Monkey. There are all these corrupt organizations that would write your term papers for you for $7 a page.
Oh, yes, yes, yes.
They have people in Kenya would write your papers. So the evil house of cheat had all the you could order your paper for, a 7-page paper for $49 plus shipping and handling and all this. All the time you spend it for this, you could just sit down and write the darn paper. It's just,
Yeah. Well, the thing too is I remember that when I was a student, paper mills, right? Paper factories, except the difference is it's a lot more affordable now to sign up for an AI platform, produce more content much quicker, almost instantaneously versus having to wait.
So you use Phrasely. So let's go to your article. There's more. I have
Yeah.
questions on this one from Chronicle, but we probably should
Yeah.
go to your article. People are here to hear about Phrasely and other tools that you've seen out there.
Yeah.
I did use it the other day. I put it in there and I've got a couple of PowerPoint slides, so I'll show you how it humanized my text. If I can, while you're talking, I'll try and call it up.
Sure.
Do you have examples of Phrasely that you might show us?
Yeah, I wish a student actually is working on an article that I can show you for the Gator about Phrasely.
Okay.
But just a quick story about that. Phrasely and undetectable AI and humanized AI and AI humanized, they all have trials. Paywalls up, but you have to put in a credit card, and if your trial expires, they'll charge you. And so as I'm getting the story up to show you, can I share my screen?
Sure.
Oh, good. Phrasely AI actually charged me, and I contested it on my credit card, and I guess I won, but it just goes to show you how shady they are. Yeah. I'll show you an example right now. I actually no longer have access to it because I didn't want to have to give them just a dime or anything like that. But one journalist right now is working on a story, not just about Phrasely. I promise I'm not going into anything private here. And I should have thought of this before today's conference. But if you go to AI Humanized or Humanized AI, you can see for yourself just what it does to your text. Why is it not working here? The more that you pay, the better the writing itself appears. Here it is. So here's one example that this student journalist is working on down here. You can see it. So here's one example. She actually used the trial version to do her research. So I had to remind her today to make sure she's not going to pay the full fee. But this is what Turnitin.com flagged as 100% AI produced. But this on the right is 0% AI produced, according to Turnitin.com.
It's the same stuff, just rewritten with Phrasely.
Same stuff, just rewritten with Phrasely. Yeah, please.
So what does easy, medium, and aggressive mean?
So these are just icons, like how much do you want your writing to stay the same versus how much do you want us to change it? But even the icons themselves are a bit misleading, right? Do you want us to do like an aggressive rewrite, a medium rewrite, or an easy rewrite? It's really not clear. There's also an option where you can tell it to, for instance, scan Curtis Bonk's clips in his books and write in the style of Curtis Bonk. ChatGPT does that, but this does it in a way that it's undetectable by AI detectors, at least right now, which is really concerning. And it's good. I mean, it's better writing than a lot of my sophomores and juniors are capable of producing. But the problem I have with it is how it's being marketed. Like I see utility in this to improve SEO, search engine optimization, and results along those lines. So the technology, I think, is not good or bad. It just depends on how you use it. But there are sites, unfortunately, sites like Phrasely, that are just, making it seem as if it's the acceptable thing for students to use to get around AI detection.
So I found my little piece here I can show. I'm not sure.
Yeah.
Do you have more to show off of here? Or?
No, yeah, no, it's fine. I'll get off.
I'll see if
yeah.
I mean, I just was playing around. It's nothing major. So I cut and pasted in part of an abstract for a paper we have. And this is part of the abstract. The COVID-19 pandemic triggered a rapid shift to online teaching, impacting formal and non-formal education. This study investigates challenges faced by tango dancers and students in the process of dancing in emergency remote teaching context. Employing a qualitative design, the researchers conducted one-to-one interviews with tango dancers and additionally interview data, blah, 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 and writing descriptions. And the change, so this is, they'll go to that. The humanized version then becomes this. So they change it. The pandemic-induced emergency shift from face-to-face to online teaching hit formal and non-formal education sectors, with the latter consisting of hobby and cultural. Now that would never make it in an academic prose. So I took an academic prose and asked to humanize, and this would not be accepted in the journal. Now in a magazine, as a blog post, as something else, as a letter to somebody, in such a setting, we would like to. So it's kind of change it to common language, or like conversational language, right? For the common person on the street, right? It's de-scholarizing the text, taking scholarly prose and making it conversational prose, right? In such a setting, we would like to explore challenges that tango dancers and learners were experiencing in terms of the learning process of dance in an ERT setting, adopting a qualitative research design, blah, 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 blah. At the end there, while students were appreciating the access to a wide range of teachers online, they would miss the in-person social interactions. So that's just one. Yeah. And then after that I did one, and then right away the next I tried doing, they wanted to charge me right away.
Yeah, you get a certain number of words. But if you do pay for it and don't give that company money, it's even better. Like it's even better in the sense that the writing is even more academic.
Wait, that's my startup company. Don't you pay? No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah.
So where are they located? Did you find out?
You know, I don't know where they're located. I
Bo
should
will
have
look
found
that
that.
up. Bo will look that up. Fraisley.
Yeah, I mean, there are others as well. If you go on to social media, to Twitter, you can see a few of the really outlandish advertisements directed towards students. I mean, they're really horrific. I don't mind showing it to you if you want to see one of them.
Sure. That'd be
Sure.
good. That'd be good because we all instructors here, they need to see this kind of stuff. Just
Yeah.
like they need to see the evil house of cheat to understand how students are cheating, right? One way to
Yeah.
reduce cheating is exposing the instructors to all the cheating formats that are out there.
Yeah. It's just so blatant, you know, and they just don't care. They just don't care. This is AI produced, by the way, this image here, but I say as much. So down here, this one, come on, load.
Of course, they're in Dover, Delaware. Okay.
Dover, Delaware. Okay.
Right.
There we go. Okay.
Thanks,
All right.
Bo.
So can you hear it?
No, you have to optimize your sound. You might try sharing it again. I did watch this. This is kind of an interesting guy. So stop sharing and then start sharing again and hit optimize sound and video at the bottom.
Optimize sound and video.
Yeah, after you have to stop sharing first.
Oh, I see. Okay. Yep.
And then start sharing at the bottom before you select it. There's an optimize thing. You see, when hit share, go to the bottom.
You know what? I'll just put it in the chat, and maybe you can.
I can do it if you. I'll optimize my.
There you go.
You put it in the chat there. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Let's see here. Yeah, I did look at this the other day. So give me a second. And it's hilarious, actually.
Yeah.
Okay, now let me share my screen and see if we can call him up. I'll optimize video, optimize sound. Can you see this, Bo? Bo?
Yes, we're good.
Don't let your teacher's AI detector scare you away. There's a way to get past the AI detectors that I didn't know about before this. You want to go to the website Fraisley.ai, then generate an essay with whatever AI you like to use, ChatGPT, Bard, whatever. And all you have to do is plug that generated essay into Fraisley. Fraisley will analyze the patterns and rewrite your essay to get past the AI detector, so you can go back to generating your answers. Free up some extra time. Don't let your teacher's AI detector scare you away. There's a way to get past the AI detectors that I didn't know about before this. You want to go to the website Fraisley.ai, then generate it.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, it just plays again.
Yeah.
And there are others like
Alicia's
that.
laughing.
Even Fraisley spelled incorrectly in the in the caption.
Right, I saw that. I was wondering which way is it spelled?
Yeah.
Is it with a P or with an F?
With a P. With a
Yeah.
P.
Okay.
Yeah. So that just makes my blood boil. There's a certain layer of hell reserved for that company and people that work for it.
But I think Lena was correct, or sorry, Jill was correct in what she said in the chat that money talks, right? I mean, yeah.
Yeah, you know, I don't want to monopolize conversation. Just one more thing, then I'll step back for any questions. But the one thing that really frustrates me is I empathize with students. I mean, these companies are savvy. They know how to market to students, and they're normalizing cheating. They're normalizing abuse of this software, which again has a good purpose to optimize SEO. They're just abusing it.
So before students ask you questions, you want to just go step back a second and what's the key points of your article? Why did you write it? What do you hope students will gain from it or instructors will gain from it?
Yeah, it's a great question. I mean, I wrote it just to show how awful this company is. I wish I would have done more to express that I think there is a use for the technology itself, but I wanted to make teachers aware that they can't rely solely on Turnitin.com or other AI detectors to detect, students that might be cheating, that might not be honest. I also wrote it because I wanted to, and I shared it with my students too. I wanted them to be aware that I'm aware. And I think that it's really incumbent upon us as educators to make sure that we know our students and their voices, especially earlier on before we assign larger take-home writing assignments. Of course, I'm able to do that because I'm at a smaller private school, but for the vast majority of the country or the world, right? People have a lot more than 88 students. So yeah, I mean, I'm concerned. I think this is going to be a ping pong back and forth between who can detect what. The good news is that I think the vast majority of students are being honest. It's just such low-lying fruit that it's really easy to cut corners, and I worry that even the best students will fall to temptation.
So as you say, it's destructive. This notion, it
Yes.
promotes the destructive notion that taking shortcuts is not merely permissible, but also clever,
Yeah.
and that they should all, evade those educators out there at all costs with the audacity to challenge their students to think, write, and learn. That's
Yeah,
a powerful
how
statement.
it's like, how dare you ask us to do this work and take up our free time? Like, who are you? And I just, it really, this software can be used as a divisive marker between students and teachers. The software, it's savvy marketing campaigns. They know to advertise on Insta, on TikTok, on whatever platforms they're on, marking us as the educators, as the enemy. And this service will somehow free them from our shackles, right? Of actually asking them to engage with their minds and produce something of their own rather than something either made by or even augmented by AI.
Did you form a community of teachers concerned about this, or have you already formed such a community?
No, it's a good question. So this article was going to go, I'll answer your question, but the article was going to be published in Edutopia, but they didn't want to serve as an expose kind of site. They're more of like what works. But so I self-published it, but I've gotten a lot of emails. I published it on a few listservs as well, with teachers thanking me because they weren't aware of this. This new, AI humanizer or Phrasely or Humanize AI or Stealth Chat GPT or I'm going to do your homework for you, whatever it is, right? So there is a community forming now. Yeah, I mean, the education community, K through 12, can sometimes be slow in understanding new technologies are out there, both on how to make effective use of them for themselves and for students, but also on the potential abuses. It's not as quick as I hear it from Professor Bonk in other universities.
So I have two more questions before we open it up. But can you tell people what Edutopia is and the
Sure.
purpose it serves? It's been out there for 24. I was the first one of the first adopters of it. I subscribed to the newsletter from George Lucas Education Foundation, and
yeah, of course. I'm sorry. Edutopia, as you correctly pointed out, is a education site funded by George Lucas's educational foundation, and it promotes what works in the classroom, right? What are tactics or strategies that teachers use that make teaching and learning more effective? And the goal is to share these out with as many different educators as possible. So the people that are writing are teachers and educators, but they're also folks like Professor Bonk, others at universities that are actually studying education and things like that. But it's one of the top education sites, and I love writing for them. I think they're terrific.
we love reading your articles in it. There's actually a book called Edutopia. You can all buy it. It's kind of dated. I used to use it for the undergraduates, ed psych class. They write short progressive pieces on, inquiry-based learning, for instance, or project-based learning, or whatever it happens to be. There's all sorts of videos on project-based learning and problem-based learning that they've produced. I used to use my learning theories class. George Lucas was the director of Star Wars, so if you didn't catch that. And then the executive director of GLEF, George Lucas Education Foundation, was Milton Shen, who's an old friend of mine. He endorsed my World is Open book. He endorsed my last book, Transformative Teaching Around the World. So I'm connected a little bit with folks, but not, I mean, you know, I've not met George Lucas, but I promote the website whenever I can. It's probably one of the best sources of progressive education in the world, actually.
Yeah, and a lot of it's not like peer-reviewed stuff, but they do have a section on the site that is based on research too. Right?
Well, while
So,
I'm asking one of these
yeah.
next two questions, you want to call up your page, what, you know, something that you've done for Edutopia and show them? What's at the
Sure.
site?
Yeah. Here, I will show you. I'll send you two links. This link here is to all the work that I've really ever done. And then I'll share with you my link to Edutopia. Edutopia, yep. So there's that in the chat.
Thanks, Bo.
Did I D Cutler at pressfolios.com, and then here's my Edutopia, where my articles are in Edutopia. So I've been writing for them more recently, about one article or so a month. One thing that I do want to point out, I'll put this on this share screen here, is I wrote this, I don't know, when did I write this? I guess just a few months ago, on fostering students' academic integrity, because I noticed more and more students abusing AI, not using it as an aid, but using it as a replacement for original, critical thought. And there's a section down here where I talk about, how I speak to students about using AI tools as a tutor, but not as someone or something, I should say, that does work for you. The one thing that I'm really, really, really concerned about is students just taking as legitimate whatever AI spews out, because it sounds good or it sounds academic. Yeah, that's something that I've been doing a lot of work on, trying to integrate how to promote ethical use of AI into the classroom, because I want students to use it. I really believe that it's going to be important for them to know how to use it, but there has to be guardrails in place. And to follow those guardrails, students need to abide by a greater sense of integrity. So it's not an easy time to be a student.
It's an important time to be teaching
Yeah.
ethics, as you said.
Yeah,
And
exactly.
we're doing research on AI ethics now, but with college students, and just submitted for publication, in fact. So,
well, I'm curious. Can you give me some of the cliff notes?
I'd rather give you the whole paper.
Okay, sure. Yeah, that's great.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, their students are definitely concerned about it too. I mean, they're not the ones we're interviewing are not of the cheating type.
Yeah.
But I have two more questions for you, unless you have something to add to that.
No, please.
So on your article, you say relying on gadgets for quick answers not only lessens the depth of their learning and integrity of the character, but also risks offering up their spirit to the machine. They're giving their souls away.
Yeah.
And then you say you spend more and more of your time addressing ethical implications of such tools rather than delivering content. You know, that I can see that. There's going to be a lot of planning and pre-planning of the use of AI. I tell my students they can have the AI do their book review, but they have to write a reflection on the book review then, and reflect on what AI came up with. Don't use that as their assignment. That's, I'm trying to utilize AI different ways, right?
Yeah. I think that's great. So long as students are interacting with AI, not just here's the output, I now own it as my own. If you're going back and forth with the AI, I'm increasingly okay with that. Like, you're engaging with it, you're asking it questions, it's asking you questions, you're tweaking. I think more and more that's going to become the norm, but it's the black and white. The sites like Phrasely, I don't think any of us would agree that that's an ethical site, right? I mean, it's pretty horrific. But I do think that's where I'm going with my own guidelines for AI. You need to work with it, not just have it do the work for you. But that's a lot to ask a 16, 17, 18-year-old, to be honest about how they're using it. I mean, they have soccer games, college applications are becoming more and more competitive. whatever other obligations they have for family and jobs. It's just so easy to not be ethical, to violate your own moral compass. And I think that sites like Phrasely are really taking advantage of this. And it's a lot to ask for students to don't pay any attention to this, don't pay any attention to it when it's everywhere in their social media feeds.
So I'm going to ask you to respond. And then the student's going to open it. This is my last. I'm going to read two sentences at the end. On the second last page, you said, in response to this challenge, you have recently implemented strategies aimed at fostering integrity and honesty among students, despite the allure of AI's seemingly convenient solutions. And you end the paper by saying, this is the greatest lesson we can offer, that the journey of learning will, with all its inherent struggles and hard-won joys, is itself a profound source of wisdom, one that shapes not just how we think and write, but also how we live and grow as human beings. Embarking on this journey, we embrace the true essence of education. So what do you want to comment on that? And what are your strategies? What are your strategies?
Yeah. So no, great. Thank you. I think first up about students becoming more machine-like. I fear that students, by not engaging in their own critical thought and allowing machines to do it, I feel they're giving up some of what makes them unique, some of their potential to be original critical thinkers, which is why I kind of have that scary image on the front, which so many here I'll show you again. So many people have commented on via email to me. Right, it's kind of freaky.
You?
No, this is right. That's me. I'm a cyborg made by Dolly. But that's what I mean by like the soul becoming more machine-like. You're giving up what makes you unique to have the machine do it for you. But in terms of strategies, I think we're going to really need to reassess how we model and teach academic honesty, and also what punishments there should be. I think that students, as I said many times now, are being unfairly targeted. And so I have some leeway with what I do in my own classroom, so that if students admit to using OpenAI, I don't want to defer it to the dean of students or to the honor council on their first mistake, but I'd rather them be honest with me, and we can work together as to why they fell prey to the whatever site, humanized site, Phrasely, for instance, and how they can work to dig themselves out of that hole, at least partially. And a lot of that, again, is because of the marketing. It's just so disgusting. And whether we admit it or not, students are susceptible to advertising.
I hope Bo takes his resume back. I know he sent us the resume. No, sorry, Bo.
Yeah. I mean, it just can't be like one and done and you're out. It has to be. Sorry, that makes people dizzy. It has to be more thoughtful. There needs to be a newer, nuanced approach to. I don't want to say punish academic dishonesty when it comes to AI, but to help students recover from their mistakes and realize their own unique potential.
Mm-hmm. There'll be more like this. Questions from participants tonight. Who would like to jump in first? In any order.
I can jump in first.
Sure, please, Alicia. She's missing her daughter's cross-country meet or track meet just to be here to see.
Oh my goodness, I'm so honored.
This is
I coach cross-country.
I value it a lot, yes. So first, thanks, Dr. Bang, for organizing this bonus session. I think that we make money, right? Because we learn a lot from David Cutler. And I do read your article and take some notes. And you said that teachers should continue to experiment with ChatGPT and in their classrooms, and let students know they aware of what AI can do, right? And so I'm quite interested in your perspective on the inevitable development of AI technology and how teachers can effectively utilize AI tools while also fostering our students' deep thinking skills. Thank you.
Before you answer, David, I'm looking at my wallet for money. I do have some money in here. But I don't have $1 billion because that's the $1 billion question she just asked you, you know. So I'll let you take over.
I wish I had a crystal ball. You know, I don't think sites like Frasely are going anywhere. And if anything, I think they're going to get even better at doing work and, you know, targeting students to cut corners. You know, at the same time, and I want to make sure I'm answering your question. You asked, how can teachers make use of AI? Is that something that you asked, or?
Yes. So we make a advantage of AI tools and in
Yeah.
our class, and also let students use AI tools, but still we want students not to overly use it and still can cultivate their deeper thinking skills or critical thinking skills.
And Alicia's an English professor in Shanghai.
Oh, great. Oh, thank you. Yes. I'll tell you what, I mean, I've been doing a lot more in-class essay writing than I ever have before with the old pen and pencil and paper, or using DigiExam, which is an online site that monitors use of whatever other systems you're using on your computer. But I mean, it's at the students' detriment that I couldn't do more with them with respect to take-home research papers. I mean, there's going to have to come a time, hopefully next fall, where I say, okay, this is how I want you to use AI. Don't cut these corners. And if you do, come see me about it, and we'll work together to make sure that you don't make that mistake again. But I also think that for teachers, they can also use AI. I mean, I also use AI. I sent Professor Bonk an article that I just wrote for Edutopia that will come out next week or so, about a site called CoGrader. I'll put this up on the screen for you. CoGrader actually offers really detailed, mostly accurate feedback on student work. And I was actually shocked by it. This is a paper that a student wrote for another teacher, and I asked him if I could use him as a guinea pig to see the feedback. So this is the paper. This is the feedback on the left here, and it's amazing. I mean, it's accurate, it's concise, and it's to the point. And teachers can upload their own rubrics if they'd like to, score as they'd like to, but it offers you glows, what went well in the paper, grows, what you need to do to improve, and then also some action items. And in about a month or two, the site's going to really grow because it's going to offer annotated feedback on the actual paper itself, which is amazing. My only fear is that you know, AI will be grading AI, which, you know, I don't love. The developer of this, one of the co-founders, Gabe Adamonte, said that he wants teachers to spend just 20% of their time grading and let AI do the other 80%. He has this 80-20 model. And I told him that I think this is great, but I think teachers are going to feel guilty for using it because we always tell students not to use AI. But he had a great comeback, a great response. And he said that, I'm paraphrasing, but he said, the job of the student is to learn. The job of the teacher or professor isn't just to provide feedback. They're already great at that, right? Why not provide more timely feedback if you can, rather than spend hours doing it? So that made a lot of sense to me. But this is something that I think is going to really take off. And I do see ethical use of this. I just don't think students are going to quite understand why teachers can use AI to grade, but they can't use it to produce. So.
Thanks for your answer.
Yeah.
So that's CoGrader. Is that free?
It is right now. It will not be for long.
And the other
Yeah.
tool, DG, you mentioned you pen and paper, and then you said something about Digi.
Oh,
something.
DigiExam. Yeah. So
Can you spell that in the
DigiExam.
chat window? How do you spell it?
Of course. I'm
Or
sorry.
Folk can find it, maybe perhaps.
Some of
Folk?
these things are yeah, they're DigiExam right there. Basically what DigiExam does is it allows students to enter into an online portal, but then it closes students out of every other application until they hit submit. right? So they can't access the internet. They can't do anything except respond to prompts and hit submit. So that's worked out well for us. But of course, in districts that don't have as much access to technology or digital divide, it doesn't work out as well.
There are tools that lock your focus
Yes.
on the thing you're working on so that you're not off in Facebook and in Instagram or WeChat or Line or all these Kakao Talk, all these social media.
Yes.
So it limits you and it gets you to focus. If you're writing a dissertation, you can write more pages because you're not off doing all these other things.
On the screen,
So
yeah.
so this is one of those kind of tools then?
Exactly right. Exactly right. It doesn't give the teacher access to see the student's window per se, but you can tell that the student's computer is locked, which means that the only platform they're on is the exam itself, and they can't get out of that until they hit submit, until it's sent into you. But yeah, I mean, there's other software which I don't think is too ethical, but it allows you to spy on what students are doing on their computers. But I mean, who has time for that when you have a whole class in front of you?
So DG Exam, Phrasely, CoGrader, and Edutopia. There's 4 things you guys have learned about tonight.
Yeah.
Who knows? Who has the follow-up question for who wants to go after Ashley? People are quiet. Just jump in.
It's okay.
Unmute.
David, I love all of this. I like what I've read in your articles as well. I like the sense of urgency and anger that I felt in some of them, because my background's K-12 as well, and I know that if I was still in the classroom, I would have been looking for as many different ways to model use of these tools for my students. Even though they were elementary students, I would have made middle school and high school teachers' lives a living hell because of it, probably leaving the elementary setting and having the skill set that they would have. I guess what I would love to beyond just the work that you've shared in the articles already and the sites that you've shared with us, I'd love to hear about the most creative use that you've found for these tools in teaching and learning so far.
Yeah. As I said, I'm a huge fan of CoGrader, but teaching and learning, I think there's great use for even Chat GPT. Like, give me feedback. Does this sentence make sense? What are some sources that I could look at when I'm researching the American Revolution? That's so useful. And I want students to use that. I mean, that's like before, I mean, you could go to Google and type that in, but it's not going to give you the precise data and links that ChatGPT is going to provide. So for that, I think it's priceless. There are also some good tools coming out now that are working to teach students to write or to write better. One of the most common apps that my students use, not to throw another one out there, I promise I'm not getting anything under the table here, is Grammarly. I don't know if folks have heard of Grammarly. There's here, I'll put it in the chat. Grammarly actually teaches students sentence structure and diction and how to write academically versus, more informally. But it also has an AI component to it. But I've loved Grammarly. I think it's terrific. It really helps students understand how to construct an argument using more academic formal prose. I'm trying to think of some other sites. Like even in journalism, when I'm teaching journalism, I think some of the tools that are coming out now are just like absolutely redonkulous. My students now use Veed.io, which does an amazing job of editing audio. You don't need any of that fancy equipment anymore. And then TurboScribe, like Professor Bonk might like this too. TurboScribe does an amazing job of transcribing interviews, kind of like Otter AI, but even more accurately. So I think all those tools are amazing. They're really changing how we produce content and how I teach. But I think Veed.io is, because such a large part of what I do is journalism. It's just so impressive. It's just so impressive. I mean, as is Canva too, but.
Yeah, Canva. How do you spell Veed?
So here, can I show you real quick?
Yeah. I'm still trying to figure out what absolutely redunculous means, but
yeah. I mean, like really, really amazing. So
okay.
my students no longer use iMovie or any kind of desktop remote software. They use Veed.io to edit really everything. Here's an example of a video that they made. It's under my name, but really it's
Oh, again, we don't have the audio.
You don't have the sound, but the sound, it sounds so crisp. It sounds so clear. It also does captions for you, which you can edit. But there are all these tools inside it which allow you to also manipulate the dimensions of what you see here. It's
Send me the link. I'll maybe call it
Yeah.
on my machine.
Yeah. Here. Yeah.
Or put it in your chat window or something.
Yeah.
I'll see if I can get it.
Yeah.
Thank you both for finding that. So I don't see it in the chat window. I think your
Was it not
comments
there?
aren't showing up in the chat window for some reason.
My comments are it's
yeah, it's really odd.
They're
They're not for me.
VEED.io.
You're right. I see that. But I mean, I was going to call up that particular video.
Oh, I see. I got okay here.
Yeah.
There you go. Okay, there you go. Yep.
Is that the one there?
Yeah, V.io.
Yeah, then what for that particular video, the student video?
Oh yeah. Here I can show you that. That video here. I'll just show you this one. You can access it if you'd like to. This was also produced using V.io.
Okay, the Gator, that one?
Yeah, that one. Yeah.
Okay, let's see if I can call that my screen here.
And
show all windows and scroll down. There we are. Okay, so I can.
Yeah, and so this was all recorded.
Optimize my. I optimized. Yeah, it was optimized.
The voiceover was recorded with a regular iPhone, but in V.io, you can go to optimize sound, and it's remarkable.
Can you tell me an anecdote of how you started to like basketball?
So I started to like basketball, number one, because when I was younger, I was always around it. And basketball has been put in my hands since 4 years old. So I've always got to be in that environment. So I just started to fall in love with it.
Mm-hmm. At 4 years old, like what was like the moment? Like what was that like?
When I was younger with my dad, we used to go to a lot of like just basketball games. I remember also being with my grandmother, her taking me to like this little mini basketball league. And just like little things like that, just being around the game a lot.
I see. What do you value the most about basketball?
The dedication it takes for you to become good in the game. If you work hard in the game treats you good. But if you don't, then it shows.
Yeah. Yeah.
How would your teammates describe you as a teammate?
Hardworking and a leader.
Pretty cool.
Yeah, that's all I mean, not all AI based, but a lot of it is AI, which I love. There's also a selection here. You can put in raw footage of anything, and you can say, make me a film out of this, or choose the best cuts, and it will do that for you.
So what do you say AI based? What do you mean? Is the transcript, the voices, the action?
AI is used to edit the sound.
To edit the sound,
right?
Okay.
To edit the sound, to put the clips together, to decide what clips are the best for whatever the voiceover is. And then there are some other elements that you could use that I'm afraid to use. So for instance, Veed has one option where it says clone your voice. And I told my students, I wouldn't quite do that yet. I don't want to give up the rights to my vocal cords. But supposedly it's pretty darn accurate, clone your voice. So if you type in something and you say read in the voice of Professor Bonk or Dave Cutler, or whomever, it will do that.
So Xiaojing's unmuted and she just checked her voice, I noticed. So Xiaojing, you have a question for David or a comment? Oh, we don't hear you. What's wrong there? Something. Something's wrong with your audio, Shojing. You're unmuted, but
I'll just not
there we got
use.
you. We got you.
Oh, there you go.
Okay, so I also noticed the pricing. So under Pro, they also have the feature for eye contact correction. I don't know what exactly it is, but I assume that if you're looking down, then they would be able to correct the way you look. So like you're
Yeah, they basically put in
yeah.
eyes looking at the camera, right?
Yeah, so you can basically maybe read your script like this, but then you know the final product is you're looking at the camera, you're looking at your audience.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, you can even take a picture of yourself, upload it to Veed, and then it will animate the picture, right?
Yeah.
Make it seem as if you're talking, right? It's
Mhm.
it's kind of scary.
Yeah.
It lends itself well to some creative projects and also to journalism, but also some disasters. I'm really worried about a whole different conversation, but fake news and the upcoming election.
And I also want to comment on, not really comment, like what you said just now was really hit me. You said one day we'll see AI grading AI, and that's not what we want to see. That's such a, I
Yeah.
don't know how to describe it, but it really struck me. And it's just out of curiosity and just very technical question. I was looking at the examples you gave for the humanizer, like the two examples. I realized that the more humanized version is actually less academic, like more
Yeah.
like, you know, a conversational. So
Yeah.
if
So you're
yeah,
right.
and so if you're really a good master of ChatGPT or any of us, so you might be able to do that within ChatGPT. Like, you know, if ChatGPT generate a text for you, and then you might be able to make ChatGPT to humanize it, you know, itself.
So
Yeah.
this is another site that I'm about to write on, and I
Mhm.
put some of my own stuff in here to see like what it would do with it and things like that. But if you get past the free version and you pay for it and don't, right? But if you do, it really is remarkable. It can mimic your writing style. It can do its own version of, you know, avoiding AI detection for you. I should have had examples coming into this. I apologize. But I promise you, once you get past the paywall and actually into the systems themselves, they are, I don't know if bad or good is the way I want to put it, but um, they're really good at composing academic prose or even mimicking your own writing. Here, let me just show you real quickly. So here, I'll take an example right here. I know we're running short on time, but okay. I don't even know where the BBC, right? The BBC, Maestro, Humanize. And you can upload entire files and it will do this for you. But here it is down here. Let's see if I can show you the both at the same time. So 6 people were killed in the attack, right? This would come up as both plagiarism, not AI produced, but plagiarism. But then down here, I guess 6 folks is kind of colloquial, but yeah, I mean, it's
Yeah, I
shocking.
mean, what is offered here if you have a good grasp of ChatGPT, like if you can really do a good prompt, ChatGPT might be able to achieve similar effect. Like if you give
Yeah,
ChatGPT a row or something. Yeah. So I feel
yeah,
that a site like these are mostly just make it even easier for those who don't know how to put in the good prompt.
yeah. I mean, I've done a lot
Yeah.
of tests with, you know, using ChatGPT into turnitin.com to see its
Yeah.
AI detector. It always goes off. But once I plug that into like this system here, for instance,
I see.
it does like 0%, nothing at all. And it's only getting, you know, only getting better
Right.
at deceiving AI detection.
Mhm.
And curiously enough, Turnitin.com is not responding to my request for an interview about these AI humanizers. So
Thank you.
yeah.
So Amelia, you're gonna have to decide if I used AI to grade your paper. I just graded your paper that you turned in.
AI
So-
versus AI. No, I'm just
Uh-huh.
kidding. I'm just kidding.
It was
But I do
AI
have a question.
perspectives on native perspectives on ChatGPT pedagogy. So that was her paper. Sorry, Amelia.
So I do have something to add tonight, and I'm trying to use AI in my classroom to what do you say, assist or enhance the learning process. So the students had to come up with group names, and the group name, like the AI, you can use AI or not use AI, but the AI generated group name English Eagles was just heads and tails over all the other group names, which were like tomato and 2 Japanese food names and stuff. So now I feel that you don't want to hold students back, but some of the AI tools are kind of professional level tools, I thought. And I was just wondering, like, I don't know. Then we all kind of felt bad because I had them go back. Like, if your name is tomato, think of something else. And they added spicy tomato, and we all liked that. So it almost felt like ChatGPT was doing better creatively than we were.
So I'll tell you something that journalists use all the time, but won't admit it. They use ChatGPT 4, the paid version, to create headlines all the time. All the time. It happens constantly. But you're right. It's good at being creative if it's a targeted question that you're asking. One skill that I think I need to do a better job at is teaching students how to be better at inputting into ChatGPT what they want. That's essential. That's a skill that I think I'm still working on, that I would love to help students work on. Like, you need to be specific in your prompt, and the more specific you can be, the better the output will likely be itself. That I think could be a whole course in the future at some point, right? Yeah, please.
I wanted to piggyback on that and share with
Yeah.
you something I did with a group of superintendents this year. Because that was the exact thing that I was trying to convey to them was your prompt, what you put in there, it has to be as clear as possible. And the more clarity you can provide, the better the output's going to be. So what I did was I bought very small Lego sets. And I thought it would be funny to make superintendents build Legos, which it was hilarious because 2 of them couldn't finish these tiny little sets. But what they were supposed to do, build the sets with the visual instructions. And as they were doing it, they needed to very concisely and very clearly write out text-based instructions that they could pass on to somebody else and see if they could build the final version of the set in the same way. So you're looking to make sure that your input is as clear as possible so that the output is exactly what you're looking for.
Exactly. Yeah. That's a skill. Yeah, for sure.
But also some of the groups didn't use AI and they liked their original human. The second group, for example, they thought it had the flair and the mundanity that they wanted their group to present. So I had AI and non-AI in the same classroom, and it wasn't working as well as I thought. It just felt like I had professional copywriters in there, and just,
well, you gave them a
human level.
choice.
And I brought down our feelings too, I think.
I think you gave them a choice, and I think the more choice we give students, the better. So I wouldn't beat yourself up over that.
Yeah.
So Amelia's working on her EDD program. She's an English teacher in Japan, near Kyoto or in Kyoto?
I'm right in Kyoto, and I teach classes at Kyoto Institute of Technology. So I have very eager and motivated students. So I'm trying to grasp how to bring in the best and leave behind the worst of AI in the classroom.
Me too. Yeah.
Do they call you Professor, Amelia?
The sensei.
Sensei, right. Any final questions from anybody? We have time maybe for one or two. Yep.
Sure.
Lena.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Lena.
Okay. First, I'd like to say thank you, David, for your
Sure.
sharing those very practical and inspiring things. And those things make us to rethink the design of teaching and assignments in the era of AI. And also, I think this can serve as a basis of educational experiments and research. So after I return to China, I think I will definitely do this kind of experimental teaching. And I'll do some research. And also thanks to Amelia. So just now, what you mentioned in your class, I think those also gave me some ideas. So I may do something when I go back. So this is the takeaway from Dr. Bang's class. So thank you, Dr. Bang. But I think, Dr. Bang, you deserve to use kind of AI-based paper grading things. In that case, you may have more time to, organize more classes and have discussion and also have drinks with us.
And I wouldn't
I
have
like
to go to
that.
my chiropractor like I did an hour ago. Okay. Anyone else have a comment or a question? Sung-hee normally does. Sung-hee?
Yes, thank you for today's bonus class. I also experienced to use AI, ChatGPT, in my class. This class is communication class. Students make some scenario about patient and doctor. They make a role play scenario. For example, scenario about talk with angry patient, or scenario to convey the bad news to cancer patient, like that. Students have a difficult to make their own sympathetic scenario, but when they use ChatGPT, then they make easy to make a scenario. But yes, but I wonder, I concerned how to distinguish between the knowledge, students' knowledge and real knowledge, and their ability to search the knowledge. And how to evaluate, it's my concern. Yes.
I had that same concern. A number of students, I have to remind that books still exist, and they ask, how do I search it? And I say, it's called an index. They're like, what's that? I mean, it's scary, but I'm not exaggerating. It's true.
Okay, thank you for today's presentation and
Thank
your
you.
talk. Yes, thank you.
And Jennifer arrived. So we have 2 students from my class actually here out of 18. Jennifer, I'm saving your task for last. Say the best, I've read Amelia's. She got hers in this. It was lost in the ether. I got hers. So Jennifer, I'll read yours tonight. Do you have any questions, Jennifer? I know you got in here late. I think you did. No? Okay. All right. Anyone else? Jill, you have a comment? Shishwen, you got a comment?
Yeah, okay, I can, yeah. I think that I feel kind of heavy on this issue this evening, especially at the beginning of this talk. We talk about money probably can help people to revise different kinds of different levels of writing, and this kind of, I don't know, capitalism probably may broaden the gap of the rich and the poor among the students. When the parents of the student have more money, probably they can help their, that's the reason why I feel kind of heavy and sad. But after a while, I just told myself probably I have to rethink the process that I as a learner. Yeah, why? Yeah, for example, I keep coding to learn the programming coding, and I ask myself, okay, I depend on the ChatGPT probably to fix the small bugs in my coding because this kind of minor mistake are easily ignored when I use my raw eyes.
Yeah.
But why not just totally depend on ChatGPT? What can I do? What can I not do with the ChatGPT? Probably, I think this is the question that teachers should ask themselves. What can we do without ChatGPT or with the ChatGPT, and then use this kind of concept to design our materials or even the examinations. Yeah.
So David, we'll make that the
Thank
last
you.
question,
Great point.
other than my question at the end. I do have a
Sure.
history. I have a history question. You're a history teacher, so
All right.
you can tackle Jill's first.
No, Jill, your comment is well taken. I wish I had a better answer for you, but I appreciate hearing your thoughts. I struggle too.
So thank you everyone for coming tonight. And David, you know, you're attuned with history, even though you're still a fairly young man, but you cycle us back in one article to the 1990s and teachers allowing students to use calculators to do their math. And then in the other article, you talk about reading Neil Postman's The End of Education, Redefining the Value of School. Back in 2010, you read the book. And on the next page, you talk about Blade Runner.
Yeah.
You know, the movie, which is really old. I mean, I remember the movie. You remember the movie. Most people probably don't remember the movie, but you say, when I think about ChatGPT and similar AI platforms, I can't help but think about 1982 Blade Runner, a powerful futuristic movie to identify advanced human-like androids called replicants. An elite police force utilizes the fictional Voight-Kampff test to measure how subjects respond to emotionally charged questions. It's that hard to tell a robot from a person in Blade Runner, so they need a special test. So you've got all these historical references here for us.
Yeah.
You want to enlighten us with some, to end the class tonight with some point in history, or compare what's going on today to something else in history?
Yeah, I mean, boy, that's a great question. I think this is a really great chance for us to rethink how teaching and learning is done, what works and what doesn't work, even going all the way back to Horace Mann in the, late 1800s. I think that AI, with all of the bad that might come out of it, I do want to leave folks with a positive. I think this is a great time, as I said, to reassess what we're doing and how we're doing it. I think, I gave the example of the calculator, but I think AI is far more, is going to have a far more, lasting impression on us and how we do things than just a calculator. So I hope that discussion goes beyond just like, here it is, and forces us as educators and as a society to really think about what's important and what do we want to do and what do we want to be. And I don't mean to go back to like World War II and the the greatest generation, but I think we have an opportunity to start again and to really make something great out of what AI can do. Did I just invoke the greatest generation while talking about AI?
Yes, you did.
Anyway.
Perfect. It's just great. Yeah. So, I've got a number of comments here showing up on the side here. I see Hee-Jung says, no question, but currently co-author, blah, 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 are working on paper and AI, just like I'm working on paper and AI use. I think there's gonna be an explosion of articles about ethical use of AI, and books coming out on ethical use of AI and training courses, professional development on ethical use of AI. It's just, someone who creates a speech about this will be all around the world, giving this talk in many countries because everyone's curious about it and needs some help and support, right?
Yeah.
Any final comments from anyone? Bo, you want to say the final comment here tonight? Bo's been my TA all semester and last semester, and this is the final. So I want to deeply thank Bo for all his kind help and support that he's offered this whole semester and this whole year. And in fact, maybe been a year and a half. He might have been my TA last year as well at one point. So it's, I hate to say goodbye to someone who's been an excellent assistant co-instructor in my classes because they're not easy to find. And, I do appreciate their time and service and effort for everything. Let's give them a big round of applause, actually, and this class would not be the same without my visiting scholars coming every week, all of you guys too. A big round of applause for all of you too. So both the visiting scholars and Bo. So Bo, why don't you wrap up this class tonight, however you want to.
Thanks for having me for the semester, guys, and putting up with me. I appreciate that, everyone. It's been very exciting for me to learn alongside you throughout the course of the semester. David, thank you for joining us tonight. It was nice for me to, I guess, just to be able to hear about some of the K-12 ideas that somebody else has that's really involved with it in the trenches right now. So we appreciate you.
No, thank you. And I regret making that connection to the greatest generation, but beyond that, I stand true to what I say.
Oh, we appreciate history, any kind of history. Bo is a fellow Indianian. He's up in Lafayette area at Purdue Land up there. So working with teachers and educators and making things good here in Indiana and around the world. So thanks to everyone.
Second place basketball team too, so
almost there. Almost.
Thank you for having me, Professor Bonk, and thank you everyone for all that you're doing. It gives me great hope for the future.
So I'm going to stop the recording here. Week 15, part 2, bonus session, R678, Spring 2024. I'm just going to stop. You'll still be here.
I'm still here.
Stopping it right now. So we are stopping.